We're back.
Just like that, we're back. Welcome back. And we're moving now into our second segment for the morning. And this one is all about aspiring for the leadership of a party. Now we're talking here the U.D.P. In with us to talk about it is the Honorable Tracy Panton. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Marlene.
Good
morning, Belize.
You're looking stunning. You're looking lovely.
Thank you.
It. Tracy, there is the Mia Motleys of the world. There is a lot of strong women out there who actually are at the forefront of their country. They portray that strength that people actually want to see. Mm-hmm. We know that when it comes to women and strength, it is immense, but at the same time might not be recognizable. That's where I want to start with you. You're vying for the leader of your party. Mm-hmm. What's your feel like having to go on out there and try to get this one on the wraps?
I am confident that the time for women to step up to greater leadership is now. It's a time in our history. It's not only a time in Belize's history, but globally, it is time for women to have a greater voice, a greater say in how our countries are developed, how our countries grow, how our people are empowered. And I believe that with all my experiences in the private sector, in the public sector, in tourism, in trade, in investment, in entrepreneurship, the work I've done, the humanitarian work I've done with the Red Cross, all the things that I have done in my life has prepared me for this time and space. And you know what they say about the opportunity bus. When it stops, you choose to get on or you choose to stay off. Mm-hmm. And I have chosen to get on, not only for me, not only for women, but for this country, for all of Belize. You know, I would like to join my colleagues in the region to empower women, young people, to aspire to be greater than themselves, if you can. And here I am. I'm offering myself to that service.
Let me use your analogy of opportunity, because I think it's a great one. They also say opportunity rarely happens twice.
Indeed.
In this case, it did. Because it is the second time that there is a gap for leadership within the United Democratic Party. What's different this time? The last time you did not put yourself forward to take over the leadership. What's different now?
They say democracy is messy, right? And everyone knows the very difficult and tumultuous time we've had in the party in terms of dealing with that leadership issue. We had 2 conventions. We had a recall convention. It was divisive, in my view. It was vicious. And you have to know when the time is right. Timing in these decisions, I think, is important. And at that time, I felt like the bloodletting was not a place I wanted to be in. Because I thought it would create greater harm than good. I have never had a doubt that the time would be right for me. And I've always said that I'm waiting for the time that is right. And so I didn't think it would come this soon, but the fact that it has come, I don't intend to step away from giving it my best shot.
Was it a difficult decision to make?
Of course, the sheer magnitude of the job, right? The United Democratic Party is in a very difficult place. There's going to be a need for a lot of healing, a need for a lot of mending, a lot of rebuilding. That's not easy work. And then we have to look at where we are as a country and the hot topic issues in this country and how we in the opposition, as few as we are in number, is able to keep a robust voice on these issues. The fact that half of your population is looking to you to be that voice. So the magnitude makes it scary, overwhelming, but exciting at the same time. And I sincerely believe that I am ready to take on the mantle. If I didn't have that confidence in myself, it would be easy to step back. It is going to be a steep hill to climb in Belize.
And I want to dive right in there because it is a historic path you've chosen to take, which is to vie for the leadership of one of the mass parties in this country.
Yes.
2022, that's how long, over 40 years later. But my question is, we very often use the blanket statement of it's difficult for women in leadership and in politics. What's difficult about it? What is the distinct challenge that you face as a female candidate vying for leadership?
I think the evidence is there, right? So we have 4 women in the National Assembly. I mean, evidence is there how difficult it is. We are a very patriarchal society. That's real, and particularly in the area of political leadership. And so it's not an easy terrain to navigate, right? But somebody has to do it, and I feel that I am definitely going to give it my best shot.
Yeah.
It is said that. Sure.
I just want to press on that more, just because, especially as a woman as a leader, you have a soft-spoken approach.
Indeed.
And very often when people see leaders, they expect authoritative, abrasive, aggressive. Do you think that that will be a challenge for you in being able to gain the confidence of your own delegates?
I can only be myself, and I can only be authentically myself. I think when you're not authentic, it shows. And the description that you just gave, Marlene, is a description how we see leaders indeed, but because of the patriarchal approach to political leadership in this country, and it's time for us, I know certainly for the young people, I've had so many young people, female and male young people saying, wow, like this really is a breath of fresh air, because we can identify with what you're trying to do and with your approach. And so all I can be is myself. Not because I'm soft-spoken, or not because I have compassion, or means that I'm not strong in this. I'm strong in a different way, right? And women and men are different in that respect. Women are inherently nurturing. We bear children. But I think where we are as a society needs that kind of leadership at this time.
We're talking here right now about leader of your party, the
Correct.
U.D.P. What about the leader of the opposition in the House? Would you vie for that?
That's not a position you vie for. So normally, the leader of the party is, once that person wins his or her seat, is the leader of the opposition in the House.
Okay.
So with the recall convention, of course, there was a move by colleagues to remove the leader of the opposition during that whole process. The leader of the opposition in the House, if the leader of the party is unable to do it, normally it's the deputy leader who takes over, so that would be the Honorable Hugo Pat. If the Honorable Hugo Pat is unable to do it, then according to the U.D.P party constitution, it's the member who has had the longest terms in the House. So that would be me. And so there is a pecking order. There's a pecking order.
Okay.
The Constitution of Belize, however, says the leader of opposition is the person that commands the majority of the confidence of the people on the opposition side. So when we had the removal of the leader of the opposition, it's because 3 or 5 of us signed a petition saying we no longer had that confidence. But I believe that we ought to follow the constitution of the party. And I am hopeful that since both my colleague and I are vying for the leadership of the party, that the Honorable Hugo Pat will hold the position of leader of the opposition in the House until that matter can be settled.
Now let's not neglect to point out all the power plays involved with politics, and especially with a leadership race.
Yes.
The current state, where you and the other representative, Honorable Shine Barrow, are putting yourself forward for leadership, people will be looking at the other elected representatives to see who they will support. There's a natural assumption that Honorable Denise Barrow is going to support her nephew. Do you have the support of the deputy leader at this point in time?
I have not asked him that question exactly because the central executive has to meet.
Okay.
And the central executive, what I'm hopeful of is that as a party, we are prepared to follow our constitution. And if we follow our constitution, we wouldn't have to put the deputy leader in that position.
Yeah.
And remember, he has to hold over, hold over as deputy party leader as well, right? He has a function in terms of keeping the whole together. So I am hoping that he would not put himself in that position, and I'm hoping as a party we follow our constitution. It is for him to make that decision. Certainly though, I am reaching out to all my colleagues, all 31 that make up the National Party Council. I'm reaching out to all those members who sit on the central executive so that I can garner their support in this leadership race.
So the only other representative then would be the current leader of the opposition, leader of the party, because he hasn't resigned as yet. And do you anticipate him endorsing you in your leadership bid? And how comfortable are you with that, given what has led to his fall from grace?
I hope he does. I hope all my colleagues recognize that there is a need for a sea change in leadership in the party. So I do hope that he does. I will say one thing about the former party leader, because he has made it absolutely crystal clear that he has tendered his resignation. It's a matter of formalizing a letter. I don't think
for you, what the chairman said yesterday about not submitting the letter and possibly changing his mind,
no, I don't think
see that?
No, not at all. And I can say that categorically because when I spoke to him and about the situation, he was clear to me that he had to do what was right for the party, that he could not ask the party to bear that kind of burden on his behalf. So I don't at all think that he's going to play games. That it wouldn't be prudent for him because there's a clear consensus in the party that he had to resign. There was no other decision but for him to resign. So I really, it's a matter of getting it done, but I really don't think there's a concern.
So you need to garner...
But going back to that original question though, do you have any reservations about his support given the pattern of behavior that led to his resignation?
To support my leadership, if I have any reservation, I don't have any reservation for any of my colleagues supporting me. Include Patrick Farber is a member of the United Democratic Party. He is a member of the National Assembly. He sits as the representative for Collett. I don't see that changing in this term. And I would be foolhardy if I didn't ask for his support. I do not condone what Patrick Farber has done. There has to be a clear code of conduct in our party. There has to be a clear code of conduct in the National Assembly that affects all parliamentarians. There has to be a zero tolerance policy on these issues. So I do not support the circumstances, and I don't know all the details, and I don't need to know all the details. There is no way he could serve in the capacity of party leader. When you sit in that position, your behavior and character has to be beyond reproach. The expectations are high because you are not only inspiring a mass party, but you will have an impact on the wider population. So, no, he has to go. But I hope that he gets this kind of support he needs to deal with the issues he has, and he has indicated that that is what he intends to do. And I think good can come of it. With every dark cloud, there's a silver lining, and I am hoping that we can use this situation to have greater advocacy, to champion for to seek greater laws that support those who become victims of any kind of domestic violence or gender-based violence or intimate partner violence, whatever it is. There should be a zero tolerance policy from all of us.
Honorable Panton, do you think that perhaps the party turned a blind eye on this issue too often?
You know, in hindsight, we could say that when the last incident occurred, the party should have acted differently, should not have been as compassionate as we were as a party. But I want you to put that in context of all that we had been through. We were bloodletting. And at that time, the party leader had demonstrated and had indicated that he was seeking the help that he needed. And the organs of the party met and decided that we will support him in this process, but that it could not happen again. It could not happen again. We find ourselves where we are, and so we have to move forward. He made the right decision for the party. He made the right decision for himself. I think it's time for us to move on and to do what is right in support of rebuilding this party from strength to strength.
Was there any, as far as you know, any conditionality given for the resignation?
No. Conditionality in what respect?
By Honorable Farber, that he would resign if you were endorsed.
Yeah.
No. Listen, it was clear that that decision had to be taken. You don't negotiate that. That was it's untenable, right? I want to be clear, because whenever I say things that may come across as being compassionate in this situation, it's seen as you're condoning it. As a party, personally, we cannot condone that kind of behavior. So there would have been no need to negotiate that kind of thing. I would like to become the leader of the United Democratic Party. I would like to become the first female prime minister of Belize. I want to do that on my own merit.
So, being the leader of the United Democratic Party, you must enjoy the votes from the delegates. And there are over 500 delegates within the organization. Now, there are also heavy hitters who have got a lot of these people under their arms as well. And when it comes to endorsements, this is definitely one of these ways that we know you could vie or you could come out on top. We also got to understand that your colleague, your party colleague, Shine Barra, is actually out and running already. Do you have the support of heavy hitters like John Saldiva? Yes or no?
I have a meeting scheduled with John Saldiva and with his other colleagues who make up this caucus for change. My intent, so let me be clear. I did not declare my candidacy until I was absolutely sure what the party leader's decision was going to be. I felt that we needed to allow that process to come to a natural end. There is, 576 delegates that will make the decision. I will need the support of my colleagues. I will need the support of their delegates. I will need the support of the Central Executive Committee to become the leader of the United Democratic Party. It is going to be my job between now and March 27th, when that convention is going to be held, to reach out to my colleagues and to make my case, to tell them to share with them how I think we can rebuild this party to be as inclusive as possible, all embracing as possible, because we need as all hands on deck if the United Democratic Party is going to be viable, if the United Democratic Party will be able to regain the trust and confidence of the Belizean people. It really is going to take a Herculean effort. I am prepared to lead that effort, and I believe that based on what my sense is in terms of the kind of public support for a woman leader of the U.D.P, I am hopeful that I can deliver in the convention. It's really up to the delegates of the United Democratic Party, and so I will be spending the next 2 months or so speaking with every delegate that I can personally meet.
You did stick a pin on March 23rd, so now we know that's the March 23rd. You mentioned
27th.
March 27th.
It has that has been the date proposed.
Okay.
For a convention. I saw it on one of the news outlets last night. But the Central Executive is going to be meeting, I think, the first week of February. And at that time, we will determine whether that date is really the date. We have to have this convention within 3 months of the party leader's resignation. So he resigns on the 31st, and then 3 months later, the convention must be held, the emergency convention.
You did an interview yesterday, and you did mention that it is a dirty game having to vie for minister, for the position of minister, but it's actually an even more uphill battle to actually vie for leadership within your own party. How do you feel about that, and what would you do to try and eradicate such thing? Because that's a dirty game.
Well, you know, they say that it's a numbers game, right? So I have myself, I have the deputy leader of the party, the Honorable Bev Williams, sits on the executive of the party. There are two of us, two females that sit on the executive of the party. One, Sister B, of course, but she doesn't get involved in party affairs. So we have to develop a critical mass of women in leadership in this country. I think the internal hurdles for me will be the most difficult, right? Out of 31 seats, there are 2 of us female who have been successful in holding on to our constituencies. But it's not an impossible task. And while we spend a lot of time looking at women in leadership, I think that the qualities I bring to the table is good leadership qualities, period, right? And while I do feel like I have an obligation and duty to encourage more women to be active and more women to take on leadership roles in this party, I also have a duty and obligation and responsibility to my male colleagues to be able to work with them so we can achieve the goals and objectives we set for ourselves and for the party and for the people of Belize.
You mentioned yourself, you know, internal races are, I would imagine, more challenging than going against the opposite, mass party. Because internally, people will know weaknesses. And when you're gearing up for a race like this, they know exactly where to hit. For people who are die-hard UDP supporters, they may say, how will we vote for Tracy Panton as our leader, given the fact that she has a history with the People's United Party? How do you respond to that?
The great Philip Golson was not originally a member of the United Democratic Party. He was part of the movement with George Price. He comes out of, for lack of a better term, a PUP camp. Philip Golson is one of our national heroes in this country. And I think it adds value, quite frankly, for a mass party to have someone like me who has worked in both administrations and have developed relationships throughout this country beyond a political reference point. It can only add value. And I made a decision that I would run under the umbrella of the United Democratic Party, but I have no illusions. Belize is first for me, because we need to continue to grow and develop this country. We are in very, very difficult times. And so we have to have a strong democracy. We have to have a strong voice, and we have to be able to bring up or rise up along with us those who do not have a voice, those who do not have a seat at the table. And when you look at the landscape, women and young people are the most marginalized. It is time for us to make a difference. And I think it will speak volumes of the maturity of the United Democratic Party and our own political system in supporting a woman for leader.
Now, the obvious race right now, as of today, is between you and Honorable Champaro. What are your thoughts on what this race to the convention will look like?
I am focused on my campaign. I will be focused on meeting people, on sharing my ideas with them, listening, most importantly, listening to the concerns of our party supporters, what they want to see us do as a mass party in terms of our rebuilding efforts. Because collectively, we have a shared vision, right? And it's not hard, it's not rocket science. We want to be the next government in 2025. That means we need to take specific steps to get there. And I want to hear what people think, how we should get there, what strategies they believe that we employ, and then we will work together as a team to get it done. That's my hope.
Do you think it's too soon for him to vie for the post of leadership? He's only been a representative for a bit over a year.
I think that decision is really a very personal one. As you said, Marlene, when the obvious opportunity presented itself to me some months ago, I did not feel at the time that it was right for me.
Okay.
And so I decided not to take up the mantle at that time. And obviously, my colleague believes that he this time is right for him, and I don't fault him for that. Democracy is a very important fundamental value of the United Democratic Party, and so he has the right to offer himself for any position with the party that he sees fit.
So let's talk about, I mean, this is going to be your campaign. I think you very clearly said moving forward, how you plan to restore the strength of the United Democratic Party. You use the term bloodletting. It's been hemorrhaging credibility because of
Absolutely.
the leadership conventions, the challenges in leadership. You have a representative. You're such a small opposition, and one representative does not attend House meetings.
Indeed.
So there are a lot of challenges to overcome.
Yes.
What do you expect to commit to the delegates of the U.D.P. to convince them that you can be the person to turn it around?
That I am going to do everything I humanly can to ensure that we move forward with a united voice, that we take the time that is required to listen, to truly listen. This is not about a power play for me.
Yeah.
That's not it. That we have to listen to what the people of Belize are saying. We have to listen to what our party supporters are saying. And then how do we take all those ideas? How do we become as inclusive as possible and chart a way forward for this country and for ourselves that will bring benefit to the greater good? That's my message. I believe I have the ability to build that consensus. I believe I have the ability of bringing people together. I have had years of experience in building things from scratch. We can start with tourism. That's 30 years. Where we are in tourism now is not an overnight success. A lot of work went in. I used to work 16 hours a day. And so I have that experience. And I hope to bring that experience to what we need to do in the United Democratic Party.
All right.
So you hit the campaign trail now to visit all the delegates?
I'm on the campaign trail. I'm on the campaign trail, yes.
Yeah, so they got to see it all over the country at this point. Any final message?
Well, I just want to thank you, and I want to thank particularly the United Democratic Party National Organization for Women, who unwaveringly have provided their support for me. I think it's important. It's an important message for us to send. I like to thank the hundreds of young women and young boys, young men who have sent me so many messages over the last few days. All the women in this country who have reached out to me, and they're women from who you would straddle both political parties, who feels that the time has come for women to take a greater role in the leadership of this country. I want to thank them for their words of encouragement and support and their prayers, a lot of prayers. that have been sent my way. It means a lot to me. It gives me the courage and to continue to do what I know is going to be Herculean task.
Yeah.
But I want them to know that their prayers and their love and their support is the thing that's going to carry me through this very important journey.
Wow. I tell you what, it's so nice to be visited by you.
Thank you.
Hearing the strength that you've got and the fact that you want to lead. Honorable Tracy Panton, thank you for visiting us this morning.
Thank you
and
for
here's to
having
wishing
me.
you all the best.
Thank you.
All right. We're about to take a break, and when we come back, 40 years and 100 years. Who? Greece Kennedy Belize Limited. That's right. They'll be in to talk to us about their anniversary and what they've got on special. So stay with us. We'll be back.